How is it going, you lovely lot? Welcome back to Tokyo Rising. Today we've got a transfer special, and today I'm stood up for the first time in this setup. I don't know why I've done a twirl. We're here. The excitement's getting to me, clearly, and there's a lot to talk about. Now, if you didn't see yesterday's episode, before I flash on screen how the season ended, if you didn't see it, go watch it. I know I say that each and every time with these end-of-season transfer specials. I mean it more than ever today. Yesterday was an absolute banger. Anyway, with that all said and done, if you watch the episode, you know what happened. We won the league. We were promoted to the J3 division. We are now officially kind of a professional club in Japan. J3 and above is kind of considered the professional tiers. We are now officially there. And with that, I'm significantly hoping sponsorship money is going to come in and money is going to arrive, because right now we are currently in quite a lot of debt. Insecure finances is not ideal. The good news is, in terms of wage budget, there's about £4,000 to spend on players this year. And whilst I don't really plan an overhaul of the squad, given the financial situation, if some good offers were to come in for players, might have to sell one or two of them. Of course, we have also got U18'S to try and replace today. His goal-scoring record for us, even this year just gone, was pretty bloody important in the context of our season. He is really the reason we are where we are today. I've tried to get him to stay. He doesn't want to stay. Anyway, the promotion party is in full swing. We've got a 4-month off-season to contend with over the course of today and tomorrow. Let's run the intro, discuss the end of the season with an end-of-season wrap-up, and then get straight into hopefully making some big additions to the squad. Welcome back, by the way, to episode number 22 of Tokyo Rising. I hope you're having a lovely Thursday so far. Hopefully, this is going to either make your day or, well, I was going to say break your day. No, it's going to make your day no matter what, today's episode. I certainly hope. In terms of what we're going to kick things off today, we need to do a little bit of an end-of-season wrap-up. Big headline, most important thing of all in Football Manager, social media followers. Yeah, that's right, 127 more this year. Yeah, we're big time now. Also, 300 season ticket holders. I was hoping that would go up more by now. You might I've also spotted at the bottom here, the board expectation for the year, top half finish in the J3 division. Yeah, they really are ambitious, aren't they? If I'm not mistaken, we do have a few new domestic cup competitions we're going to play in, so that's kind of exciting as well. In terms of the board vision, outside of course, the new expectations when it comes to J3, not a great deal has changed. In fact, looking at things here, I feel like it's the exact same as it's been for the last few years. They want counter-attacking football and attacking football. Apparently they're delighted with both those things, so I guess I'm striking a balance. My contract is up at the end of the current year, so I would like to get that renewed. I have got to do an end-of-season team meeting. I'm just going to copy the board expectations here. Aims for J3, mid-table finish. Let's not get too crazy with a top half finish. Mid-table sounds good. Some of the players are offended. Try and be ambitious, says Junpei Noda, the 18-year-old goalkeeper who almost cost us the title. Try and be bloody ambitious. If you think I'm being too cautious, I'll admit I'm wrong. Let's aim for the playoffs. I feel like I've just pleased the minority and annoyed the majority there, but we'll deal with it. Apparently my attempt to convince Noda didn't go down well. Just as a reminder, Junpei Noda, the goalkeeper, I was thinking might be our captain down the line. He's got really good leadership. Now I'm starting to reconsider. Now, just as a little reminder, pre-season doesn't start until January here in Japan. So after we do the little kind of wrap-up-y bit, I'm probably going to be mashing continue quite a lot until the team come back in January. We're almost in 2027. In my head, 2027 feels like years away. The reality is, that's 3 years away. Also, the board have announced construction work on facilities. We have to do it to comply with the league requirements. It's going to cost 1.4 million. Sorry. I'll be honest, not the start to today's episode we needed. We've just spent £1.4 million on training facilities. I mean, on the plus side, they're going to be better on the negatives. Well, the negatives is the bloody bank balance. Our financial status was insecure. It's now just listed as in debt. Why does that feel so scary? I was looking at some clauses here. I could sell on some Watanabe stuff. Yeah, I don't know if it's really worth selling on the sell-on percentage profit for £10,000. If you're wondering, by the way, of course, former hero of the football club Watanabe went to J2 last year. We sold him for £65,000. He got 1 goal and 1 assist in 25 games. Didn't really make the step up. Now, before anything else, we need to wait, I believe, for the JFL playoffs to be done. It is going to be in the promotion stage. Calater of J3 taking on Verteen in that game. When is that game? Oh, it's over 2 legs. The next leg is tomorrow. And you might have noticed as well in the relegation playoff, Tokyo United, our former rivals, they've made it all the way to kind of the playoff promotion bit. If they win their playoff game, they'll make it to the JFL. I'd quite like it if they came up. You know, them and Nankatsu together in the league below us. It just feels right. Azul Claro declare interest in Takagi. Azul Claro doesn't sound like a Japanese club. It sounds Spanish or Mexican or something. They play in J3. The team names in this country are mental at times. Excellent. We've sold the youth facilities to help the current financial situation. And we've sold the training facilities as well. I assume that's the old training facilities rather than the new training facilities that we're currently building. I mean, I certainly hope so. Also, we've scrapped the youth setup. We no longer have a youth team. The board asked if I want to release all youth players and youth coaches. Yeah, I guess we will. The president has invested £1.1 million. Shout out to Kanta Aoki. I mean, is our youth setup and our training facilities worth that? Okay, apparently they're worth a lot. We now have £4 million in the bank. Why didn't we just sell our youth setup sooner? Also, where has this money come from? This month, we've made £5 million in other. I guess that was us just selling our youth facilities, and then the 1.1 million is the injection. It's not ideal, I feel like, in the grand scheme of things, but we have money now. It's just cost us our youth recruitment and youth facilities. I realise I'm literally not going to get youth intakes anymore, I don't think. Yeah, we have no academy coaching and no youth recruitments, so we don't get youth intakes anymore. I mean, I want to laugh and I want to cry. Tokyo United, by the way, are going to be promoted, so congrats to them. They've made it out of the non-league hell. And as for the promotion playoff, Verteen have lost on aggregate. The team that were battling hard with us to end the year lost 3-1. They'll be staying in the JFL. I'll tell you what, suddenly the significance of them bottling that final game and us not having to worry about the playoffs is starting to settle in. That could have been us. And with those final bits of business done, we're here for the end of season review. I'll be honest, I want to sit here and be all cheery. I'm a little bit distracted by the fact that we've just sold a load of stuff. Let's talk about this. Signing of the year, according to our fans, Komori, which I'm a little bit surprised it's not Takagi, but to be fair, he was injured a lot. Komori, by comparison, 7 goals, 9 assists. The right midfielder came in and had a really good impact for the team. I feel like, actually, in terms of the signings we made this year, the wingers were a big part of the success this year. Kayanoki, another sensational addition to the team. The 21-year-old, a little bit older, out on the left-hand side, 14 assists to his name, 6 goals, only missed 2 games across the entirety of the year. And of course, in terms of the highest average rating, like I said, it went to Takagi. The issue for Takagi is he missed a lot of football over the course this year. He started 23 of 30 games, had a lot of injuries. When he was fit, he was really, really good. What I will say is, and you can kind of see this in his form in the last 20 games, he had a great start to his time at the club, had a couple of injuries, and then didn't quite get back to the same level he was at right at the beginning of the year. End of season result, well, the board expectation was a mid-table finish, but the press were backing us to finish much, much higher. Board have given me an A+ for that. Of course, in the Shakai-Jin non-league cup that we're not really meant to be in, we bottled it. We lost on penalties. Let's not dwell on that. And as for the Tokyo Cup, we also bottled that. Yeah, we're really good at losing in penalties, it turns out, especially in shootouts. In terms of revenues for the year, they've not really changed massively. I think this will be more significant in changes next year as we go up a division. Our club reputation has gone from regional to national, so small thumbs up for that. And we sold 365 shirts. We sold a shirt every day of the year. That really doesn't seem that impressive. Here is how we lined up across the year. When you look at the average ratings, it doesn't really look like the average ratings of a team that won the league, does it? There is not many players to sing and shout and dance about outside of the players I've already really talked about, and also, I suppose, Yamada. I feel like Yamada deserves a lot of praise. The 18-year-old has been absolutely sensational for us this year. 4 goals and 10 assists this year, 7.2 rating. A big reason, I think, why we were able to create so much. I feel like when I look at our team, midfield and attack I'm largely happy with. Of course, we have got Otter leaving the club. When it came to the midfield and the attack, I was really looking just to add a bit of depth. I already mentioned this last episode towards the end of things. I have already made a few signings to try and add a bit more depth. Suppose now is a good time to talk about them. We have here Kenjiro Sawada, 21 years old, left midfielder. I think he could be a more useful squad player, definitely more of a punt, but for £150 a week, willing to take that punt as just a bit of a depth option in the wide midfield area. We've also signed Sunayo Matsushita. This guy is a right midfielder by trade. Am I crazy thinking he could be a really good advance forward? That's actually what I'm training him as right now. Ultimately, though, he is just coming in to be more of a depth option. The reason for signing these players is quite simple, really. We have a really good core to the team in terms of the starting 11 and bench that I'm relatively happy with. It's a younger side with a lot of potential, but when we just look at players not selected on the bench or in the starting 11, there's players here who just simply aren't good enough. Players like Messiah, okay this year, adequate this year, but didn't want to call upon him too much. Tashima, another kind of example of a player who was great for the last couple of years, but with another step up, just isn't going to be good enough. I hate to say it, Akai this year was a bit of a ghost, really. Did not have the same presence he had in our JFL season towards the end of things. Even younger players like Sayuki here, who might have a load of potential, if the right offer came in for him, I'd probably have to look to move him on. And when we're looking to move on these kind of players in their mid-20s who just simply aren't good enough for the J3, I'd love to replace them with younger players as we climb up through the Japanese Football League. The good news is in J3, in terms of match rules, there isn't quite the same strict restrictions. However, once we reach J2, and it gets even more brutal, I believe, in J1, we need a minimum of 2 players trained at club for 3 years before their 21st birthday. I'd like to get ahead of that problem before we get to that division. Anyway, just to wrap up the end of season wrap-up segment here, here is the overall best 11 for the club right now. I don't think there's any super surprising players here. The man with the most appearances during the Sage game so far, Mitsuhashi, has been our starting right-back for the last 3 years. Actually played okay this year, but one of the few positions in the starting 11 where I sit, look at him and go, probably need to upgrade you going into next year. That said, I definitely want to keep him around as a depth option, unless, well, maybe the right offer comes in. There's definitely interest in our players. Love this stat here, by the way. We conceded the least goals from set pieces. So, if nothing else, we're quite good in the air and dealing with big balls into the box, which I feel like we have to be given our style of play. U18'S got Fans Player of the Season and Young Player of the Season. He's not here, so let's just not give him the award. He doesn't deserve a trophy. Komori, Signing of the Season, as already mentioned. New records broken. I mean, you can see some of them here. Takagi, 6th Player of the Matches. Noda in goal was good this year. As much as I've criticised him for how he ended the year, he was beyond solid for us. The 18-year-old is certainly someone who I'd like to keep around. He is contracted for the next 4 seasons, so no real reason to sell him, although, as you can see here, there's a list of teams interested in him, and it's certainly the case that when it comes to our players, they are starting to pop up on the radars of some of the teams further up the Japanese leagues. Now, I did notice earlier, I'm in the last year of my current contract, so I'd quite like the board to give me a new deal. I mean, apparently my job security is very secure. We've sold everything now, so we've got a load of money in the bank. They should be able to give me that. Takagi won the MVP in the JFL, which we love to see. He didn't get top goal scorer, though. That went to Kaneyama, who, when you look at him, it's kind of mental that he got more goals, isn't it, than Takagi. Takagi should have scored more. If only he'd stayed fit. I won Manager of the Year, which is nice. And in terms of the best 11 in the league, you can see here, we had 6 players in the starting 11. So yeah, safe to say our team was good. Also, the board loved me because I repaired the club's financial damage. That was all me. Definitely all me. Yeah, I can't believe we've sold our setups and stuff. I mean, are we still spending money to upgrade them? It doesn't say anything here about kind of currently working on the facilities. When we sold the facilities, did we just not improve them? Oh, no, okay. The training facilities are being improved, just the other ones no longer exist. If you love your stats, here's some stats about how good we were this year. We had the best expected goals per game, the best goals per game, most interceptions per game as well. I guess that lends into the defensive style of play that we have. Actually had the second best defence across the year. So as much as we were messing up things towards the end of the year, we still were a very, very good team. And I guess the board have recognised that because they're offering me a brand spanking new deal all the way to 2029. I mean, it's a 2-year deal. It's not actually that big, but it sounds good, doesn't it? 2029, we're in the future, baby. Okay, we've signed that new deal on £375. Didn't really expect the end of season wrap-up bit to conclude with me thinking, well, we've sold all our facilities now, but that is the situation we're in. We have also, I've just noticed here, got a loan debt of 1.4 million. Would ideally just like us to pay that off, to be honest. In terms of the plan now, the transfer window opens on the 1st of January. The season update date, I believe, is a couple of days after that. I'm going to come back on the 1st. We'll see what's what. Maybe going to have to be fending off some interest in our players. I'm going to have a little bit of a think about the squad, what and where we need to improve. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a few weeks. Hopefully I've calmed down a little bit because I am on edge right now. I know I said I'd be back in January, but this feels like a significant moment worth just popping my head through the door to mention. Ida leaving the club. £80,000 to this guy, though, feels like some really good money. The team that made the offer is Matsumoto Yamaga. If we just look at things here, they are in J3. And if you're wondering, how did they do in J3 this year, Jack? Fantastic question to ask. You can see here, they were promoted. Kind of surprised they were in for Ida, but when they offered £80,000 for a player I don't think will be on the bench next year, couldn't really turn that down. He is one of a number of players currently on their way out the door. Look at this. I've got loads of players going, many on free transfers. Suyuki, the other player really alongside Ida, who looks like he may go for significant money. Looking like we could be getting in the region of £66,000 for him, plus 50% of any future profit, which feels like good business to me for this guy. Did he play for us this year? He played one game for us this year. Then I've demoted him down to the B team just now. There is other players like Otaki who are probably going to be leaving the club. We've had a bid for him of absolutely nothing from Atletico Suzuka Club, but his contract's up at the end of next month anyway. And actually, if we just look at the B team here, I offered out basically all the players in this team simply because I don't think they're going to have futures at the club. A load of these players have contracts expiring anyway, so we're not going to be getting any money for them, but it's going to be good to get them off the books. And this is the current first team. Yeah, I really have had a clear out. Ida, of course, is about to go, so we might as well move him down to the B team. Otter as well has already said he's buggering off. So this is actually our team right now. It feels very, very bare bones, doesn't it? We've currently got 19 players in the first team, which on the one hand, it doesn't feel that great to have that fewer players, but then you actually realise that all the players that are currently here are the players that were basically in the starting 11 and on the bench for the season just gone. It's just a case of adding a bit more strength, a bit more depth. That's the order of the day this year. Anyway, I suspect there's going to be a few more sales going on, so I'll join you guys on January the 1st to confirm all the departures. Not currently looking at signing any players, really waiting for our promotion to be made official. Okay, January 1st in game, and this has landed in my inbox. Takagi transfer saga set to develop. This feels inevitable. This feels like this could be the storyline over the next couple of episodes, potentially beyond. Interesting to note that there is no interest from teams above the J3 division yet, which I'm hoping is going to prevent Takagi turning his head. The fans love him. I love him. He is technically contracted for the next 4 years, so it's not really an Otter situation where we're at risk of losing him on a free. Equally, don't really want to lose him. And you can see here a whole host of players who were at the team have now moved on. Suyuki, perhaps the most notable of these, he departed, as already mentioned, for a really decent fee. His value is instantly shot up. We sold him for £66,000, but there is a 50% of any future profit sell-on clause. We'll keep a close eye on his development, kind of keen to see how he gets on. In fact, you know what? We'll add him to the shortlist indefinitely. Elsewhere, in terms of departures, though, Ida left the building. We already discussed that one just a moment ago. Otaki is left on a free transfer. Oikawa, who was the lone player in our under-18s team who I'd actually offered a proper contract to, he has also moved on. And with those departures made, the transfer budget is now at £170,000 there or thereabouts. It's a little bit short, 169, but I didn't want to say the number. Now I've said it. Either way, our committed wage spend is now dipped below £10,000, which feels fairly significant, especially with obviously all the cleaning up of the first team squad that we've done. I'm feeling pretty good about this transfer window. I've identified a few positions where I'd like to improve. I think right back and left back are perhaps the order of the day. Numato is our go-to left back for the year just gone. He is probably more of a centre back option, and I just feel like we can do a little bit better. Equally at right back, it's a similar story where Mitsuhashi is a good right back. I'd like to get in a much better one though. And elsewhere, you'll notice a big gap up top. I was thinking that Azutsu can maybe be the striking option to replace Otter, but given our current finances, given our current predicament, and the fact that I am paranoid that Takagi could leave at some point in the next year or two, I feel like trying to get a new mainstay striker, a new friend for Takagi is important. It's a bit like, you know, in zoos where they get like partners for the animals. I feel like I need to get Takagi a partner to be friends with. I must admit though, this here is what concerns me. The transfer window opened, I've had a load of interest immediately. Komori has had some bids on him. These bids are pretty darn pitiful. I'm going to reject them and hope they're not going to turn his head. The 19-year-old is a player who I'd love to get homegrown at club, given the fact he joined us when he was 18. Again, another player like Takagi on a long-term contract for the next 4 years. Absolutely no reason to sell him. Yamada's had an offer as well. This one, he has no interest in going for, which is, I suppose, good news for us. I have no interest in selling him, ideally. Elsewhere, a man who I had on my shortlist, Takeshi Yokoyama, and I really, really want to sign because he looks amazing. He's had some offers from elsewhere. I mean, you can see here, there's teams in J1 and J3 making bids. This guy looks very good, but he doesn't want to join me. I was waiting for him to become a free agent. He may never become a free agent. I have had the first bid actually here for Takagi. Hadn't noticed this before. He has no interest in talking to Cataler. They're in the same division as us, equally. No interest in selling him for that kind of fee. There is one other bid that we've had, which is for Kim. Now, I love Kim. Kim was one of our first signings when we joined the club. But Kim's not really that good. And I'm looking at this offer here thinking, it's not a bad little offer. Almost, what, £30,000? I'm going to bump this up a little bit more. If I could get £35,000 for Kim, I feel like I've just got to take it. LC Sailors, which I believe is Lion City Sailors in Singapore, making the bid there. I think I have one of Lion City's shirts somewhere. I would go try and find it, but I'm pretty certain I just wouldn't be able to find it. I definitely used to have one. I think I still have it. I don't know why I would have thrown it out. It's in my house somewhere. Anyway, shout out to Lion City. They've made a very nice offer there of £35,000. If that deal goes through, our transfer budget's going to sit at £200,000, which is nice. So in terms of this transfer window, striker, left back, right back, and if Kim is going to leave the club, a depth centre-back option who can maybe step in for Takeshi or Rio a little more confidently would be nice. Yoshikawa has been our depth option at centre-back at times this year, but with his 5 jumping reach and the fact he's now learnt to play centre-mid, I don't really want to have to play this guy at centre-back. Anyway, in spite of the fact I'm getting all these offers from my players, I am still going to hold off going too crazy with dealings. I want to wait until we get officially promoted. Once the update comes through about the J3 division, I think then things are going to get real. And looking at this inbox item here, apparently in 7 days the fixtures will be announced. I've just spotted here that Sagan Tosu, who start the save game in J1, have had back-to-back relegations. They have just been relegated out of J2. They have got 2 relegations in 2 years. They are going to be a scary team to take on. They've got £8 million in the bank. It's just not fair. Also, their key player is on £8,000 a week. For context, my total wages, less than £10,000 right now. Jeff United have made an offer for Komori. I really don't want to sell Komori. Komori's just not for sale. Can all these teams interested in him just leave me alone? Look at this. J1 teams interested. J3, J2. Go away. I feel like I'm on Brighton Pier. I've got my lovely Kona chips. It's a lovely sunny day, but there's seagulls circling. And all these teams here making offers, they are the seagulls. I do not need to sell players anymore. It's just not needed. Does anyone else feel like my chairman really hit the kind of nuclear option there, totally unproportionally in terms of selling all the facilities and stuff? We've got £4 million in the bank now. I want to try and spend some of it, but I feel like actually, given the losses we made last year, maybe we should just hold on to it. It's probably sensible. Here's the JFL sponsorship table, by the way. £19 million made from sponsorships in our division. Honda received £4 million. By comparison, we were the lowest earning team in terms of sponsorships with 250,000. We were way below average, and yet we did get promoted. So unlucky lads. It's another bid for Komori. Does the day end in a Y? If so, there's a bid being made. Leave Komori alone, people. JFL signings of the year, by the way. Kayanoki is up there. Yamada's in there. Komori's there too, as is Takagi. Yeah, 4 of the top 5 were our players. Takagi was the signing of the year. I didn't think I needed homegrown at club players for the registered squad. It turns out might well need those players. A minimum of 2 players trained at the club for 3 years before their 21st birthday. Yeah, I can't fulfill that right now. I just have to hope that players under 21 kind of can somewhat count towards that or something. I hope. We could be in a pickle. Anyway, I've just had the leaderboards pop up, which means with one hit of continue, we are going to be promoted. We received, just for playing in J3, £195,000. We are going to be playing in the J-League Cup this year. That's bloody exciting, isn't it? We've been drawn against J2 opposition in that. When does this competition happen? So many new things to worry about. We play in that at the start of March. We are also still in the Tokyo Cup. We enter at the semi-finals. We didn't win that last year. We should win it this year. The board wants to discuss potentially expanding the available wage budget for physiotherapists. You know what? Of all the things they could suggest, not the best I've heard. Can we spend it on developing a more expansive youth recruitment network? Whilst we appreciate your input, we feel our own proposal is a better idea. Well, great. If you're a physiotherapy at Tokyo 23, congratulations, you're getting a wage rise. Okay, we are officially here in J3. Here is the moment of truth. If we go to season preview, where are we predicted to finish? The answer, 16th. Just as a reminder, the board want a top half finish in this league of 20 teams. That feels very ambitious, doesn't it? The season preview said 16th. This screen here does say 13th for the media prediction. I suppose one important thing to remember is that this prediction you see here is kind of live updated based on players coming and going. Given the fact we're in January and players' contracts expire at the end of January, we might see teams tumble down or move up related to, well, what players they've managed to renew contracts with. With our current squad situation, no one in the first team that I have blocked out here is leaving, so we should rise a little bit, which is probably for the best because, yeah, that board expectation in mid-table, they do not expect us to be involved in a relegation scrap, and I certainly hope that isn't going to be the case. Right, striker, left back, right back, backup centre-back. That's what I need today and tomorrow. If there's one thing we learnt last season, though, you just come to this screen here, don't you? You just come to this bit here with the scouting centre and all the recommendations, and there's just constantly good people being recommended. The player who's top of this list, I was looking at one point. There's a load of interest been shown in him previously. That said, he's not agreed to sign with anyone. 18-year-old goalkeeper Shimizu here. I suppose my issue here is I kind of like our goalkeeping options. If you compare him with Noda, is he better? He probably is a little bit better. Shimizu wants to be an important player. How much do you want, mate? 1.1 thousand pounds? No. For a position I don't even really need, that just feels silly, doesn't it? I have conditioned myself to think, I need to go after free transfers, and part of me was a little put off by the fact that so many of these players are actually contracted to clubs. I need to remind myself there is actually money to spend now here at Tokyo 23. I kind of like Gatayama here. Of course, we've lost Ida as a depth centre mid option, and we have also sold, our other backup young centre attacking mid. So there's definitely a need for more creative players in the midfield. I don't know if Gatayama is necessarily that man, but he has really good mentals, some decent little technicals too. Sadly, he wants to be an important first-team player, which I can't guarantee him. He also wants £700 a week. No, thank you, mate. I'm looking at the rules here for J3, by the way. Players who are 21 or younger come April don't have to be registered, which is good news for us. There is a maximum squad size of 35 players. We don't have the homegrown at club players. That kind of limits our squad size to 33 players. But theoretically, I could still just sign 9 new players if I wanted to. Probably won't be doing that, but it's an option. Looking through players here with contracts expiring in the next month. This guy here, Yoniyama, looks really good. I know he's inconsistent and he's injury prone. Probably should be scared by those things, but we lack a creative backup centre mid. This year, Mada has been that go-to player, but with Ida's departure, we need someone new to come in. And whilst Yoniyama here isn't perhaps as well-rounded as Yamada, he's still a very good creative player who's in his, development years. 17. I want him. I'm a little bit concerned that he plays for a high school team. Typically, the high schools in this database have higher reputation because they are quite reputable in real life, but it does mean that players are less inclined to want to leave to play professionally at a younger age and are more likely to want to go to university. So when it comes to negotiating with players at Yaniyama here, often they want really high playing time. Such an important player, which I really can't afford to give him. I'll try and convince him that he can be a regular starter. He's agreed to that. He wants £475. He does also want a relegation release clause, which I don't like, and a minimum release clause, and a yearly wage rise, and a promotional wage rise. I've removed all those things, which is probably going to upset him. But I don't know, £500 a week for him? Doesn't feel like the worst bit of business. Our wage budget for this year sits at £15,500 a week. Our current highest earner earns in the region, as you can see here, of £600. I think the reality is the wage spend here at the club is going to be going up a bit this coming year. Given the fact we've got obviously £15,000 to play with, that is essentially 30 players contracted on £500 a week, which obviously isn't how we're going to do our wage structure in here, but it is a way I can justify in my head spending perhaps that £500 on Yoniyama. I like this guy. I know he's got some cons, but at 17, low risk investment, free transfer as well, just as a little reminder. There's 13 teams that want him, and they're all in the leagues above us. There's almost no chance I now get him, but I'm going to try and believe. I'm looking at other players with contracts expiring in the next month. I've now got it sorted by world reputation just to see what might be out there. There's a fair few J1 younger players here and also J2 and J3 players available. This is all very new and exciting. I mean, I don't know if I describe Nishimura here as new and exciting, but he's an adequate player who plays at J1 level for Avispa. He is currently on £3,000 a week, presumably. Yeah, I don't have the financial muscle. Maybe alongside this 1 month filter, I should just limit the wages to like £1,000 to be safe. Was looking at some depth options for centre-back. Inui here looks kind of good. He plays for Azul Claro, 26 years old. He's played fairly consistently at a J3 level, albeit he's not got that many appearances. Prior to that, he played at university and for Grampus's academy before making a couple of appearances for Ventforet. I want to know if he might be interested in coming to be a squad player. I might be being ambitious here, mightn't I? He's currently on £900 a week. He's going to want a lot of money, isn't he? I mean, for me, he'd be a backup. I don't want to pay him more than £500. He wants £4,000. You know what? I'm going back to university students. This is a waste of time. Shunsuke Ono here, 21 years old, currently only on £120 a week. Played 10 games in J2 last year and was relegated. He doesn't look that bad as a depth centre-back option. Don't know if he's quite as good as Takeshi, even if the star ratings suggest that perhaps he is that little bit better. Exploring options at the end of his contract, he's only on £120, wants to be a breakthrough prospect, wants 1,001. What am I looking at? I mean, I'm looking at my shirt now, but what is that wage demand? I've updated the transfer interest from doubtful to slightly interested to hopefully get rid of time wasters, but I'm beginning to think we might have to hunt kind of the leagues below us and for free transfers specifically. This isn't really going as I expected. It is something that they changed a few years ago in Football Manager. The longer players remain free agents, the more inclined they are to lower their wage demands, which is a really nice addition. Obviously, it was a few years ago this came in, but particularly in this situation where in Japan you get a lot of these university students that are released and don't find clubs, they do slowly lower their wage demands, which means there's probably going to be more affordable options here if I look at players that have been free agents a little while, as opposed to players that, well, are becoming free agents. Was just thinking about setting up our recruitment focuses, given the fact that obviously it's January, there's still a fair few months till the season starts. There is Shoki Chugo here. Not only does he have a fun name, but the 22-year-old looks like a decent little playmaking, little centre mid option. I'm wondering how he compares with Yoniyama primarily. I mean, when you compare the two of them here, I don't know if there's a world of difference. Yoniyama perhaps slightly better, but we know there's a lot of interest in him. Chugo, how much are you going to ask for, mate? How much are you going to hurt me here? Please have reasonable wage demands. I'll give him £350 and hope that he's happy with that. Like I said, for depth players, I've kind of got a soft limit in my head of £500 a week. And it looks like Chugo could be pushing all £500 of that. Why are you like this, mate? I've got an offer accepted, which is good. I think out of Yoniyama and Chugo, I'd rather go with Yoniyama. I know he's got a few more kind of negative cons here in terms of inconsistency and injury proneness, but at 17, that excites me. Meanwhile, Chugo, he's been a free agent for the last year. No one wants him, probably for a reason. We're going to receive another £100,000 in J-League TV rights. I'm beginning to think that we really didn't need to sell our facilities. You know, I feel like we could have handled things. Also, by the way, I totally forgot about this. I had pre-arranged some contracts with various players at the club. So there's a load of players here who had contracts that kicked in at the start of this year that have now all happened. Yamada is one of these, 18 years old, contracted to 2029, but I'm instantly going to trigger a contract extension. I want to keep him around for the long haul. I love this bloke. And in some more news, another bloke who I love, but I don't love enough to keep him around, Kim, is leaving the building. We signed him on a free transfer as a non-league club. He's had 3 years at the club. Was a good little super sub option for us last year at centre-back, but he's not good enough for the promotion kind of rise and the quality rise we're about to experience in J3. So £35,000 for him is nice, and it's with a saddened heart we bid adieu. I feel bad for him. Also, I don't know why I've turned into Shakespeare there. Still looking for left backs and right backs. As I say, still hadn't really started before now. We've got a load of players here who are scouted who could be good. I'm going to have a look through these. Surely one of these players is decent. I mean, Otsuki here can play left back and can play right back. I don't know if he's that... Is he that bigger an upgrade on Mitsuhashi at right back? That's where I imagine he would probably slot in. I'll tell you what, he is more of an upgrade than I perhaps realised in certain areas, but Mitsuhashi is no slouch at right back. I like Otsuki here because he can play either side. Don't necessarily think he's quite good enough. I'm having a look through these fullback options. I am very, very underwhelmed. There's some players you see and you go, wonder what the story with that player is. Sota Miura here, 26 years old, has one cap for the Japanese national team. You look at his career history here. He was actually playing in J1 in 2025. Didn't play a single game in the year just gone in J2 for Vivaran. And when you look at him, he's not very good. How did this guy get a cap? Did he get it before the save game started? Probably, potentially, maybe. If he got it during the save game, that feels mental. I'm currently looking at Japanese national youth team players now with contracts potentially expiring. Numata here I thought would be an interesting fullback option. Besides the fact that he's got one dribbling and he can't really defend. How is this guy in the Japan under-19 squad? Doesn't look like there's anyone in the under-20s with a contract currently expiring. Kosuke Tanaka here is a youth player playing at high school level. He looks very good. Presumably, yeah, he has no interest in joining me. He could have been the solution to the left-back position. Instead, I just feel sad. He doesn't want to join us. There's also Yamamoto here, another high school player. This guy looks absolutely insane, doesn't he? He has a pretty good goal-scoring record for Saga Higashi High School. Can I sign him? I want to sign him. Will he join me? They want to bid in the region of £150,000. He'd want wages between £1,400 and £2,000. The really bad thing is there's part of me thinking, you know what? That's not that bad of a deal. And yet I know spending that kind of money on him is probably very, very silly. He's a good striker. I don't know if he's that good. Should we just make a bid? You know what? We'll make a bid and see what he asks for. He wants to be a star player. He wants £1,500. It's quite a lot of money, isn't it? I've not even scouted him. I don't even know if he's got good potential. I mean, he's 18. He does look great. He is about to turn 19. But if I can sign him in the next week, he would be homegrown at club. I hate the fact that I like the look of this guy. He is the key player for his high school. I thought we better just check the high school team to make sure they've not got any more good players. I kind of want him. I feel like if I'm going to sign him, I need him to sign on more than just a 2-year deal. So I'm going to lock in an optional extension of 2 years. Going to get rid of the promotional wage rise as well. I want to lower the wages, but I know I probably can't do that. Also, his agent just dislikes me. That's charming, isn't it? The bid's been accepted, or rather the offer's been accepted. Am I really about to do this? I'll wait and see what the scouts say. I feel like this is a terrible idea, but the scouts say he's super consistent and not injury prone. I could change my mind. Finished looking at the under-20s, now looking at the under-21s. I have already looked through these players who are already considered, well, free agents. They have no value whatsoever. I'll be honest, just no one here very good. Like, Kita here perhaps the most arguably good, but I know I need a backup centre-back. I think I can do better than this. Looking at the under-23s here, there is one J3 player who's actually on loan from Vissel Kobe. So he's not going to want to sign either. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to be signing any national or national youth team players, at least this year. Maybe one day we'll have players that have played for Japan or are currently in Japan's national team. Tokyo 23s, under-18s have been drawn in the group stage of the J Youth League. Who wants to let them know that I don't have a youth team for this competition? Probably should phone up the league, shouldn't I? I'll tell you what, I get some very random intermediary suggestions. You can see here just a load of Brazilian players being offered to me. This guy plays for Internacional. I mean, technically, plays for their youth team, this guy. He's not a bad player. Not exactly what I need right now. I'd love to sign some Brazilians eventually, but the guys I'm getting offered to me at the moment, not quite what I'm looking for. Okay, I was a little bit surprised when this inbox item came through, but Yomi is joining us. There was a load of interest in him from other teams. I've just noticed he's injured. What's his injury? Pulled hamstring. He's injury prone. There's loads of red flags here as to why this guy's a terrible depth signing, and yet I kind of just want him. Look, it's a free transfer. £500 as I've already justified. I think I can stomach up. I like the look of this guy. I think he'll be okay as a backup. With our promotion to the J3 as well, I have noticed we've got a load more spots for coaches as well as scouts. I've added 3 new scouts already during the off-season. Decided not to include it in today's episode because there's a load of other stuff going on, but crucially, should allow us to get scout reports in sooner and also potentially also help with recruitment focuses. You can see here we've got a few more on the go now. Hopefully we're going to get some good results here. In fact, I was just looking through these recruitment focuses now. A few of these I didn't even set up and the staff just did them themselves. There's a guy here who I really like, Ryuta Watanabe, plays for Fuji 2003. Kind of need a defensive mid backup option. Sauer has been our go-to defensive mid option as a backup over the last few years. Of course, starting, we have Yoshikawa, who I do like a lot, but I do look at Watanabe here, and I do feel like he could be a good little alternative option in the centre of midfield. There's been times that this year just gone where Yoshikawa hasn't quite been good enough, or I've had to slot Yoshikawa in at centre-back, and then I've only had Sauer to come in at defensive mid. Watanabe could be an option, and given the fact he only wants to be a fringe player, I feel like this is just one of those deals that just make sense. Ideally, I want to lock him in on a longer term deal. Hopefully, that's not going to dissuade him from signing for us. I like the look of this guy a lot. He's not the biggest, sexiest signing, and he can also technically play as a striker in an emergency, but as just a depth defensive mid option, I think he could be pretty good. Noticed here as well, we have got a scout report in for Yamamoto, you know, the young striker that I'm thinking of just absolutely blowing the budget on. He is inconsistent, and yet my staff really, really like him. I feel like I kind of have to spend the money on him, and I can't believe I'm saying that. In fact, you can see here the scout report just came in, has great composure, is currently unhappy. I feel like this guy would be a steal. Capped at under 20 level. I mean, it's £150,000. It's essentially all the money that we made from the various sales at the tail end of the year. All that Ida, Sayuki money, and Kim money going into one player. And it is a player who's going to be on quite significant wages. But he looks really bloody good. I mean, crucially, he has still got to agree to sign for us. And now, right on quick cue, Grampus have made an offer for him. Nagaya Grampus just trying to ruin my day. The J2 outfit have come out and matched our bid over a week after we made our bid. I feel like if Tomokazu wanted to sign for us, he would have agreed in the last week to join us. We're not going to get him now, are we? One man who I could potentially get is Chugo, but I've already just signed a new centre mid option, so I'm now not going to sign Chugo, just because I think Yoniyama's a better option. But this is why you go for 2 players at once, then you can pick. You can get your first choice. If your first choice isn't there, we already had the plan B already lined up. Sadly, did not need plan B today, so sorry, Shockey. You'll be a free agent for a little bit longer. Still getting a lot of offers for players. Kamori, not really wanting to sell him. Good news, whilst he's interested in moving to clubs, he'd be happy to stay at the club, which is what I want to hear. Elsewhere, a man who I wanted to sign, Yokoyama, not going to be able to sign. He is signing for S-Pulse. I feel like so far in this transfer window, all I've really done is sort out the team and mash continue a lot. To be fair, we've played about 2 months of time in Football Manager. I have played a lot today and done a lot today. Sadly, not going to be signing Yamamoto today. He has gone to Grampus. And now I'm just sad. The only thing that could cheer me up is if U18'S had changed his mind and decided he wanted to stay, but he thinks he's done with us, and I think he probably is too. Just realised, probably should organise some pre-season friendlies. Last year, the season started in kind of end of March. This year, the season starts in the season starts in Feb. Okay, our season this year starts a month sooner than last year. Wait, the season starts in 5 weeks. And I've not even organised any friendlies yet. I am now starting to panic. I just assumed that all the leagues in Japan started around the same time, but it turns out they don't, and I need to be ready a lot sooner than I realised. And our first game in J3 is going to be against the team predicted to finish 3rd. I'm filled with dread. I suppose if I want to find some silver lining of sorts, even if I can't sign, ideal players for the team, I have actually got a squad that I could theoretically field for the first game of the year. Although thinking about it, there's a load of B team players leaving, so we might be short on the bench. But I'd like to think we have 5 weeks to sign players, and we will be able to sign players. Well, I said going into today's episode I wanted a striker, a left back, a right back. Instead, I've signed 2 centre mids, but it is some good depth. Watanabe is officially going to join the club. I like the look of this guy a lot. He will join us upon the completion of his current contract. It's depth at centre mid. That's perhaps the one position in the team now where I feel like I have actually got enough depth to get by. Now, I need to deal with the rest of the team tomorrow. I feel like I've got way further through the season than I realised. I maybe should have been taking more time between continues, but I wanted to find out more about the bids that we were making, the finances and how they were going to be shaping up. I mean, look, let's look at the positives. We're officially in J3. We're no longer in debt. We actually received a load of money as well through the TV deal and also just playing in J3. I think it was like £300,000. On the not so good news, didn't really address the problem areas that the team highlighted here with the gaps, although we have got players we could put into those gaps. And also, to top things off, we no longer have a youth intake every year because we have no youth recruitment. So that's a thing. Anyway, folks, we are going to leave things there for today because this episode is already approaching the hour mark, I guesstimate, based on the amount that I've recorded today. I've played quite a lot of Football Manager in a single sitting. Editing Jack's going to go away and edit it, and we'll be back tomorrow to strengthen the team further. Would love to know your thoughts on the squad down in the comments below. Here is kind of the team that I think I'm happy with. Is there any positions where I should be adding depth that I'm not already adding depth in? Is there any other positions in the starting 11 that you think should be improved? I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. We will be back tomorrow to end the week with a bang. Until then, take things easy. It's me, Jack, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.